Okay. I hope the voice is okay now. Okay. So I'll start again. Time of supply. So when should we raise the invoice? Okay. In case of time of supply, when should we raise the invoice? So there are certain rules which tells us, there are certain provisions which tells us the date by which we should raise the invoice. Okay. So that is governed by section 31. Okay. Now what our section 31 says, so for goods we have three subsections, 31.1, 31.4 and 31.7. 31.1 talks about the normal case, 31.4 talks about the continuous supply of goods, and 31.7 tells us about when to raise the invoice when we have sale on approval or return basis. So there are certain goods and some point of time we have such policies wherein the sale will be approved later on, not at the time of sale itself, or there is an option to return the goods within a particular set time. So in that case, what will be your due date of invoice? So now coming to the normal case, section 31.1, what it says that whenever supply involves a movement of goods, then in that case the invoice should be issued at the time of removal. And in case if you do not have any movement of goods, then at that point of time the invoice should be issued at the time of delivery. So whenever you are moving the goods, when you are removing your goods from the place from where the movement starts, that is your time of issuing invoice for supply of goods involving movement of goods. And in case if the supply is without movement of goods, then the date will be at the time of delivery. Now remember, these we are talking about the due date to issue invoice. Then section 31.4 says that in case of continuous supply of goods, the date will be the date on which amount statement is issued or payment is received. Okay. So whenever you are doing the entry in your account statements or whenever you are actually receiving your payment, that date will be your date of issue of invoice in case of continuous supply of goods. Now we have section 31.7 which says sale on approval or return basis. So in that case you have two options, okay, and earlier of those two options will be your date of issue of invoice. First one is 6 months from the date of removal. So once you have removed your goods, okay, and 6 months from that period you calculate, or second thing what you do is date of supply acceptance by the recipient. Okay, so whenever the date of supply, that is whenever your recipient has accepted the goods. Why accepted? Because here we have sale on approval or return basis. So whenever you are sure that okay, now the sale has actually occurred, the recipient has accepted, so on that date the invoice will be issued, or 6 months from the date of removal. Earlier of these two dates will be your date of issue of invoice for sale on approval or return basis. Now next we have time of supply in case of goods. So this is governed by our section 12.1 which says that liability to pay GST is determined on the basis of time of supply, and our section 12.2 says the time of supply in case of goods under forward charge mechanism. So under forward charge mechanism, the time of supply will be actual date of invoice. So date of invoice we have already seen how we need to decide the date of invoice, or due date of invoice, whichever is earlier. So either the date of invoice, the date on which the invoice is actually being raised, or the due date of invoice. So due date of invoice, we saw the rules just now. Those are your due dates of invoice calculating rules. Okay. So you need to check your actual invoice date with the due date of invoice which we have seen earlier, and earlier of these two dates will be your time of supply in case of goods. Now GST is not payable on advance in case of goods covered under FCM. So if you have any forward charge mechanism wherein GST is payable under FCM, then in that case if you have received any advance for the goods, then GST is not payable on that amount. Like it will be calculated only on the final amount only. And in case of a composition dealer, time of supply will be actual date of invoice or due date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. So in case if you have composition dealer, you will check three dates: your actual date of invoice, your due date of invoice, or your date of payment, and earlier of these three will be your time of supply in case of composition dealer. Now we have section 12.3 which talks about time of supply in case of RCM. Okay, so whenever you have reverse charge mechanism, then in that case, see again you have to check three options. First is the date on which your goods are received. Second is the date on which payment is made to the supplier, and you have third option which says 31st day from the date of invoice. Okay. Now you need to calculate these three dates, or you need to check these three dates: dates on which your goods are received, or date on which your payment is made, and 31st day from the date of invoice. Now earlier of these three dates will be your time of supply in case of RCM goods. Then GST is payable on advances in case of goods covered under RCM. So if you have any RCM supplies, then in that case, please remember that GST is also payable on advances. So you need, if you have any advances in case of RCM, you will have to find separately the time of supply for advances and the time of final payment if the dates are different. Now, your section 12.4 says that in case of vouchers, so if you have any vouchers, okay, you have any gift vouchers wherein, or maybe like you are getting some vouchers for future purchase. So in that case, what our provision says that if they are identifiable vouchers at the time of issuance of voucher. So when I am issuing the voucher, at that time, if I can identify the supply clearly, then in that case the time of supply will be the time of issuance of voucher. But in case if I am not able to find the exact supply when the voucher is issued, those are my non-identifiable vouchers, meaning I don't know when I am issuing a voucher that what exactly will be the supply against these voucher. So in that case, your time of supply will be the time of redemption of such voucher when I'll be actually knowing that what supply is taking place. Next we have section 12.5 which says that in case of time of supply is not ascertainable, so if you are not able to find out time of supply, in that case what you will be doing. So see, there are certain things wherein we don't know when the supply is taking place. So for example, if you have periodical return is filed, due date of filing such return. So if you are filing the returns periodically, okay, then in that case, the due date of filing such return will be your time of supply. And in case if you are not filing any returns, then in that case, the date of payment of GST will be your time of supply. Next we have section 12.6 which says in case of addition to value in the form of interest, late fee, etc. for delay in payment of consideration, GST is payable on receipt basis. So whenever you are receiving such kind of interest or late fee for delay in payment of your consideration, then in that case your GST is payable on receipt basis. Now we will see some questions for these. Okay. See, first question. Gupta and Sons, a registered supplier paying tax under normal scheme, is a wholesale supplier of ready-made garments located in Bandra, Mumbai. On 5th of September 2006, Mohan, owner of Charming Boutique located in Dadar, Mumbai, approached Gupta and Sons for the supply of a consignment of authorized dresses for ladies and kids. Gupta and Son gets the consignment ready by 2nd of December and informs Mohan about the same. The invoice for the consignment was issued next day, that is 3rd of December. So remember here, see, on 5th of September, he is approaching for supply of consignment. Now the consignment is ready by 2nd, and the actual invoice for the consignment is issued on 3rd of December. Now, due to some reasons, Mohan could not collect the consignment immediately, so she collects the consignment from the premises of Gupta and Sons on 18th of December. So consignment is collected on 18th and hands over the check for payment on the same date. So check is also given on 18th of December. Now, the said payment is entered in the accounts. So in books of accounts, the entry happens on 20th December and the amount gets credited on 21st of December. Now, you are required to determine the time of supply of the ready-made garments supplied by Gupta and Sons to Mohini, elaborating the relevant provisions under the GST law. Okay. Now, take 2 minutes and try to calculate the dates, try to find out what all data is given and try to articulate the answer. Okay. So see here. What our notification dated 15th 11/27 says that a registered person excluding a composition supplier, he has to pay GST on outward supply of goods at the time of supply as specified in section 12(2)(a). Now what section 12(2)(a) says that either it should be the date of issue of invoice or the last day on which the invoice have to be issued in terms of section 31. Okay. So now here This is a wholesale supplier of ready-made garments, okay? So here your movement of goods is involved. So in case of movement of goods, see, we'll see what was the date, okay, at the time of removal of goods. So at the time of removal of goods, so when are the goods removed? The goods are removed on 3rd of December. No, on 3rd of December we are issuing the invoice. Then the consignment is ready by 2nd of December, and because that person could not collect the goods, so the consignment is collected on 18th of December. Okay, and now account entries are done on 20th December, and your bank account is credited by 21st of December. So now the date of issue of invoice is your 3rd December, and the date this okay last date on which the issue of invoice have to be issued, that is beyond this date. So here the time of supply of goods is 3rd of December, on which the invoice for the consignment was issued. Okay, see, because on 3rd December your invoice is issued, and see, goods are collected on 18th of December. Okay, so that date is later. Now we have to check the earlier dates. So for the issue due date of issue of invoice, that is later than your 3rd of December. So here in this case my date of issue my time of supply will be 3rd of December. Now, second question, explain the meaning of the term date of receipt of payment as per section 13 of the CGST Act 2017. So what does your date of receipt of payment means? It refers to the date on which the payment is recorded in the books of the account, that is, the supplier of service receives that payment and makes an entry in their books, or the date on which the payment is credited to the entity's bank account. So either the date on which you are accruing your receipt, or the date on which the date on which you are accounting your receipt, and or the date on which the payment is actually credited in your bank account. So earlier of these two dates is your date of receipt of payment. Now we have question 3, which says Mahek Sons is a registered supplier of electronic items and pays GST under regular scheme. So we have supplier of goods and regular scheme. On 15th of July, Mahek Sons received an order from Sundar Trader for supply of consignment of electronic items. Mahek Sons gets the consignment ready by 20th July. Okay, so the consignment is ready on 20th July. See, for time of supply, please write the dates so that you can determine your answer. Okay, just on paper, write down the dates. Consignment ready 20th July. Now, invoice issued 21st July. Now, again, see that the trader could not collect the consignment immediately. Sundar Trader collects the consignment from premises of Mahek Sons on 30th July. Okay, so movement of goods 30th July. Then check given 30th July. Again, payment entered in the books of Mahek Sons 31st July, that is your supplier, 31st July, and amount credited in bank account 1st of August. Now you are required to determine the time of supply of the electronic items for the purpose of payment of tax. Try to find out what is the time of supply in this particular case. Mhm. Okay. So see, this is also similar question, right? Now here we have movement of goods involved. Okay. Now in case where movement of goods involved is there, then what is your due date of issuing an invoice? So your due date of issuing an invoice will be at the time of removal of goods. So see here, when are the goods removed? 30th July. Okay. When is the invoice issued? 21st of July. So earlier of these two dates is my 21st of July. So in this case, your time of supply will be 21st of July. Now see, let's see the answer. So as per section 12(2) of the CGST Act 2017, the time of supply in respect of goods shall be the earlier of the following two dates: date of issue of invoice or last date on which the invoice is required to be issued as per section 31 of the CGST Act 2017, and date of receipt of payment. So earlier of these two dates will be your time of supply. Now, further, as per the notification dated 15/11/2017, a registered person excluding a composition supplier has to pay GST on the outward supply of goods at the time of supply as specified in section 12(2)(a). That is, your date of issue of invoice or the last date on which your invoice ought to have been issued in terms of section 31. So, as per section 31(1), the invoice needs to be issued either before or at the time of removal where supply of movement of goods is involved, of goods or delivery of goods, making goods available to the recipient. So in this case, since your invoice is issued before the removal of goods and is thus within the time limit prescribed under your section 31(1), therefore the time of supply for the purpose of payment of tax is the date of issue of invoice, which is 21st of July 2006. Now, question number 4. Examine the following independent cases of supply of goods and services and determine the time of issue of invoice under each of the cases as per the provisions of SESTIC 2023. Now, Saka Enterprises, Kolkata entered into a contract. Okay, this is as per the provisions of CGST Act 2017. Okay, there is a correction. Now, first case is Saka Enterprises Kolkata entered into a contract with Suraj Enterprises Surat for supply of goods on 31st of October 2023. The goods were removed from the factory. So again, as I told you, kindly note down the dates. It will be easier for you to solve the questions. So what you need to do? Supply of goods 31st October. Okay. Contract entered 31st October. Goods removed 11th October. Now goods delivered 31st October and goods received by the recipient 14th of October. Now we are supposed to find the time of issue of invoice. Okay, and second case is Trust and Fund Limited and Event Management Company. So your supply of services has provided its services for an event at Kapoor Film Agencies, Mumbai on 5th of June 2023 and payment was made on 19th of June 2023. So now we need to find out the time of issue of invoice for these two cases. Okay, you can solve this question. Take your time of 2 to 5 minutes and solve this question. Okay. So see, in the first question what we have movement of goods. Okay. So in case of movement of goods, we need to issue the invoice before the movement of goods is starting. Okay, before the goods are being removed. So here see, the contract is entered on 31st of October and goods are removed on 11th of October. So before, on or before 11th of October, I should be issuing an invoice. And in second case, what I have is, now whenever there is this supply of services, then in that case the invoice should be issued within 30 days from the from that event. Okay, so the event is taking place on 5th of June, so I need to calculate 30 days from that, so that will be your 5th of July. So on or before 5th of July, the invoice must have been issued. Now let's see the answers. Okay, so for first case, a registered person supplying taxable goods shall issue a tax invoice before or at the time of removal of goods for supply to the recipient where the supply involves movement of goods. Okay, so in the given case, your invoice has to be issued on or before 11th of October 2023, and a registered person other than an issuer or banking company or a financial institution, including an NBFC supplying taxable services, shall issue a tax invoice before or after the provision of service, but within a period of 30 days from the date of supply of such service. So see, before or after the provision of service, so services are being given on 5th of June and payment is done on 19th of June. So now within, after 30 days from this 5th of June, you should be issuing your invoice. So in the given case, invoice has to be issued within 30 days of 5th of June, that is your date of supply of service. So you should be issuing an invoice by on or before 5th of July 2023. Now, next question. An order is placed to Tea and Company, Sholapur on 18th of August 2023 for supply of fabrics to make garments. Company delivered the fabrics on 4th of September and after completion of the order issued the invoice on 15th September. The payment against the same was received on 30th September. Determine the time of supply. Now again, as I told you, note down the dates. Okay. So 18 order placed 18th of August, goods delivered 4th of September, then invoice issued 15th of September and payment received 30th of September. Now you need to find out the time of supply. Find out. Okay. So see here also your movement of goods is involved. Okay. So in that case, what we will take as our time of supply? The date of issue of invoice or the last date when the invoice should have been issued. Earlier of these two dates we will be taking. So now see the time of supply of goods where movement of goods involved fabric for the purpose of payment of tax is the date of issue of invoice or the last date when the when the invoice ought to have been issued. Further, a registered person is required to issue a tax invoice before or at the time of delivery of the goods or making available thereof to the recipient. So, in the given case, the time of supply is your 4th of September. Okay. Now, next question. Discuss the provisions relating to time of supply of goods that are taxable under reverse charge. So, for reverse charge, we have this subsection 3 and 4 of section 9 and your section 12 3a, b and c. So let's see. The time of supply of goods on which GST is payable on reverse charge basis under subsection 3 and 4 of section 9 of CGST Act is determined in terms of section 12 3a, b and c as follows. So time of supply for such goods will be earliest of the following dates. First is the date on which the goods are received, the date on which the payment is recorded in your books of account of the recipient, or the date on which the same is debited in the bank account. Earlier of these three dates you will take, that is your first option, or date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue of invoice or document by some other name in lieu of invoice. So whatever is your this invoice or any other document which acts as your invoice, so date immediately following 30 days. So from 30 days of this invoice date or the date which you determined based on these three options, date on which your goods are received or date on which your payments is recorded or date on which your bank account actually gets credited. So earlier of these three dates or the date immediately following 30 days. So either of these two you will take, earlier of these two you will be taking. And if it is not possible to determine the supply time of supply by using these parameters, so you are not able to find out the time of supply by these, then what you need to do is, in that case, the time of supply will be the date of entry of goods in the books of account of the recipient. So in that case, whatever date the entry you are entering in your books of accounts, the date of entry, that date you will consider as your time of supply. Now question number 7. Mr. Mayank provides continuous supply of service to MS Omega Limited. He furnishes the following information: date of commencement of providing this consignment of supply. Okay, so for date of commencement it is first October. Then date of completion is 31st January. Date of receipt of payment is 3rd of March. Now, determine the time of issue of invoice as per provisions of CGST Act 2017 in the following circumstances. If no due date for payment is agreed upon by both under the contract, or if payment is linked to the completion of service, and if Mrs. Omega Limited has to make payment on 25th of March as per the contract. Please try to find the answer for this. Write down the dates and try to identify. Okay, see, where the due date of payment is not ascertainable. Okay, so in that case what we should do, when the due date is not ascertainable from the contract, so first thing they have given that due date of payment is agreed upon by both under the contract. If no due date is agreed, okay, so your contract is not giving you any particular due date of payment, in that case the invoice shall be issued before or at the time when the supplier of service receives the payment. So in this case the invoice should be issued on or before your 30th March, okay, that is the date of receipt of payment by Mr. Mayan. Now in case if the payment is linked to the completion of an event, the invoice should be issued on or before the date of completion of that event. Okay, that answers your second point. And third one is, so see here, since in the given case payment is linked to the completion of service, invoice should be issued on or before 31st of January. Okay, when your the completion of service is getting completed, that is the 31st of January. And if Messrs Omega Limited has to make payment on 25 3rd, so in that case it will be that date only when they are saying that they will be making this payment as per your contract. Now question number 8, food meal coupons are sold to a company on 9th of August for being distributed to the employees of the said company. The coupons are valid for 6 months and can be used against purchase of food items. Okay, so this is a kind of vouchers that you have. You can purchase it for food items. The employees use them in various stores for purchases of various edible items on different dates throughout the 6 months. What is the time of supply of coupons? So find out the answer. So see here you have these food coupons, okay, and they are allowed to purchase the food. But which food items exactly will be purchased, that I am not knowing when I am issuing these vouchers. Okay, so now try to determine the answer. Okay, so see here we have these vouchers. Okay, and when you are issuing the vouchers you are not knowing what exactly is your supply. So in that case the date of that vouchers redemption will be your date of supply. Okay, see, section 12(4) of CGST Act 2017 provides that In case of supply of vouchers by a supplier, the time of supply shall be the date of issue of invoice if the supply is identifiable at that point, or the date of redemption of vouchers in all other cases. So, in this particular case, we do not know the supply at the point when the vouchers are issued, as the coupons can be used for a variety of food items which are taxed at different rates. The supply cannot be identified at the time of purchase of the coupons. Therefore, the time of supply of the coupons is the date of their redemption in terms of section 12(4) of CGST Act. Now, question number 9. From the following information provided by Messrs. Sasta Bazar, determine the time of supply for the purpose of payment of GST. It issued coupon on 20th June worth 2000 redeemable against purchase of specific plastic items. This coupon was redeemed. So, we are given the issue date of the coupon and redemption date, and remember here they've already given us the specific plastic items against which these goods are, this coupon is redeemable. So, you have identifiable voucher, okay. Then second case they are giving is, it issued coupon on 1/8/2023 worth 3000 which is redeemable against purchase of any item. Now see, this is purchase of any item. So, your voucher, you do not know the supply of goods when you are issuing your coupon, and you are given your redemption date. And third case is, it received interest of 10,000 for late payment from a customer on 11/11 for supply of goods which was originally made on 24/6. Now determine the time of supply. So please try to find out the time of supply for these three cases. Okay, see. So here in the first case, your specific items, that is your supply, is identifiable at the time your coupon is issued. So in that case, it will be the date of issue. In second case, supply is not identifiable. So in that case, it will be the date of redemption. And for any interest late fees that you are receiving for late payment, for that the date on which you are receiving that interest or late payment will be the time of supply. Now let's see. So as per section 12(4) of the CGST Act 2017, the time of supply of vouchers exchangeable for goods is date of issue of the voucher if the supply that it covers is identifiable at that point, or date of redemption of the voucher in other cases. So, here in the given case, supply can be identified at the time of purchase of the coupons. Therefore, the time of supply of the coupons is the date of their issue, that is 20th June. Now, In the given case, supply cannot be identified at the time of purchase of the coupons. Therefore, the time of supply of the coupons is the date of the redemption, that is 18th August. And for the third one, Section 12(6) of the CGST Act 2017 prescribes that time of supply in case of addition in value on account of interest, late fee or penalty for delayed payment of consideration for goods is the date on which the supplier receives such addition in value. Therefore, the time of supply in the given case is 11/11. Okay. So, that completes the questions of time of supply for today. And if you want to have these materials, or if you have any doubts, or if you want to discuss any of these provisions, you can always reach out to us on the given WhatsApp numbers, and you can also join the community over there. All your queries will be taken care of. You will find the links for the same in the description below. That's all for today. Happy studies.